and I have no makeup on.
Well, then you're very lucky. You're doing good. You're doing something right.
Thank you. So, hey, thanks, listeners. This episode is super special. I might have to do 2 episodes with you after talking with you last night, Elise. I'm super excited about our conversation and the endocannabinoid system and the messages. I got your book and then kind of stalked you on Facebook, and you agreed to be on here, and I'm so excited to have you on here. I really love your book. I've kind of studied this, and as I'm working through my advanced aromatherapy certification, I'm going to dive into this more. So I am so excited that to have you on this channel, for you to educate, for you to share your knowledge, to share your stories. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this. I mean, you have a degree in microbiology or biology, right?
Biology, yes, yes. Well, it's wonderful to be here talking to you too. I'm excited to get this information out. The book and this work spans 25 years of research. And what I've done is, first of all, I'm a trained biologist. Secondly, I'm a cancer survivor. And I didn't have a very good prognosis initially, and I didn't want to go through a lot of the typical therapies that one goes through with cancers. And many times you get very sick. I'm a real firm believer in natural remedies and maintaining my immune system, even though obviously when you have cancer, the immune system is not regulated. So I really wanted to understand more about what was going on in the body signaling wise, because obviously there was a signaling error happening. And I found out about the endocannabinoid system, and it was just mind-blowing, because having been in school and taking the courses that I had to take for my degree, and being, getting trained with med students and brilliant people, I was so surprised that there was nothing that spoke about the endocannabinoid system. But again, that we found out about it in the 90s by Dr. Raphael Mechoulam and his research team. So it's a fairly newly discovered body system.
Oh, it was not in my textbooks in school.
Sorry?
It was not in my anatomy and physiology textbooks way back in the day.
No, it wasn't. And so it's such an important system to understand. And I really wanted to understand what my body was trying to tell me at that point, because I think that the body has the ability to heal anything. And the body also has the ability to manufacture just about any chemical that we can buy. So it's a very intelligent, very beautiful self-healing mechanism. And so if we feed it properly and we nourish it properly and we learn how to listen to subtle signals of the body, then we can better support the magic of what our bodies can do for us in healing. And so for me, I really wanted to understand on that molecular level what I could have done, or what I did wrong, or what I did right even. I just wanted to understand more about it. And what I found was this system is so incredibly intelligent. It is dynamic. The endocannabinoid system, or endocannabinoid as some people say, is a dynamic network of cellular communication. And what that simply means is that it will shift and it will modify itself and it will adjust to meet system needs. The interesting thing about it too is that it is an on-demand system. So endocannabinoids are not stored in the body at a surplus like typical neurotransmitters. They are created on demand when the body has a need or is in a crisis. So it steps in to mitigate different crisis situations in the body. So what I wanted to do as I learned more about this, first I started writing educational training for doctors, nurses, and practitioners, because I thought it was really important to compile some of the best research out there.
Yes.
And the doctors are very busy, and as well as nurses, they don't have a lot of time to do the research required to fully understand this system. So my goal was to put together a very sophisticated and very complex training so that medical practitioners could get it all in one place. They didn't have to research all over the place to find out what was actually happening with the system, endocannabinoids and the signaling within this whole system. I wanted to set it up so that it was all in one place and easy to get. But what I started realizing was that it's more of a system that can actually be a roadmap for us to health. And I felt, well, there are a lot more consumers out there than there are medical practitioners, and maybe the best thing to do was to educate a consumer market.
It is, because I don't think it's well understood, and it's self-regulation because of where these. Explain a little bit, if someone has no anatomy and physiology, what the endocannabinoid system is. Compare it to, say, the immune system, or we can compare it more similar to the nerve system.
Sure. So the most important thing about the endocannabinoid system is that it is a regulatory system. Its ultimate goal is to achieve and maintain homeostasis, which is perfect cellular balance in the body, or equilibrium. And so it's constantly working to do that. And it's found in every single system of the body. And what we now know in science is that it is the regulatory system to all of the other body systems. So in the early stages, we believed that it was found, there are two classical cannabinoid receptors called CB1 and CB2.
Yeah.
And it was believed that CB1 is found to express mostly within the brain, central and peripheral nervous systems, whereas CB2 was found to express in the immune system. And that was like the nutshell, so to speak. What we now understand is that it expresses much more diversely. CB2 receptors are found on some neurons. They're found in the brain. CB1 receptors are also found within the immune system and play a role in illness and disease as well, especially when we look at overexpression of receptors. And so, simply put, it's a three-part system consisting of endocannabinoids, which the body produces, just like in cannabis, the cannabis plant, THC and CBD, those are phytocannabinoids. In the body, they're called inside, endocannabinoids. And so the body manufactures them. And then the third part, you've got your CB receptors, you have your endocannabinoids, and then you have these precursor enzymes, because again, we stated that the body doesn't store them in little vesicles like it does other neurotransmitters. Instead, they're created on demand when the body calls for them. So it's important as well to understand that even though simply it's a three-part system, it's also diet dependent. So if you don't eat the right kinds of omegas, your body's going to need these endocannabinoids, and when it goes to get them, when it's in crisis, it's going to go, okay, come on, I need you, I've wounded myself, or I've damaged something, or I've got an imbalance in this body system, fire up. You're going to get nothing. You're not going to get the levels that you need.
Yeah, that is, because you go into there's so much greatness in this, but I suggest any nurses that are into oils, as I'm into natural healing, or anyone in the healthcare system or wanting to better themselves, to definitely buy this book. And you have another book that's going to be coming out I'm super excited about. But when you're looking, I love this one picture right here, because you have a picture in here that kind of expresses this cannabinoid receptor expression and kind of where they're at, the CB1 and the CB2, where they're found in the body.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool because you find them all over.
Right, absolutely. We even have an endocannabinoid system of the skin. We have a lot of receptors in the adipose or fat tissues. We have a full functioning endocannabinoid system through the GI tract, the gut, in all the mucosal linings of the body. And, you know, that takes us to one of the most important things that I learned when working to understand the ECS, and that's the endocannabinoid system is abbreviated ECS. So we can use that, and everybody will know what we're talking about. When working with the ECS, I learned that first of all, it doesn't express the same in everyone. It doesn't, everyone expresses their own endocannabinoid system differently depending on the state of health, and that's called ECS tone, the way the receptors, the enzymes, and the endocannabinoids express in the body, that's like tone. And what I found was there is a direct connection to gut health. And
Wow.
so before you even get this system signaling at the level that it can actually do a lot of good for you, you have to step back and look at what is the state of health in your gut.
Yeah, and that probably plays into the microbes that you have in your gut, because they send off messengers, the bad microbes to the good microbes that are inside your gut. And I know it's not a technical diagnosis, but leaky gut is what everyone's
Right,
understand when it
absolutely.
comes to.
Yes. And if that's going on in the body, chances are you're not going to get the full signaling benefits that the ECS is capable of giving you.
Yeah, and people need to be aware that they could be having some gut issues and actually having no symptoms in the gut. The symptoms that they could be having from it are other stuff going on in their body. So it's
Yeah, definitely. And what scientists have found now is that there's a crosstalk. And so it is it's almost like a wheel of communication, and each part of this is dependent on the other. So you know, you have the gut brain axis, and that's sends information from the gut to the brain via the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. And so information from our microbial communities can be sent to the brain. The serotonin levels are expressed, you know, gut-wise and into the brain. And so we create this whole crosstalk. And what scientists have found now is that there's a relationship, and each part of this wheel is a spoke, part of that communication hub. And if one part is damaged or not working effectively, then the whole system itself is not going to express at the level that it can do the most good.
Yeah, I'm so excited because you sent me earlier today, which I'll put in the show notes for everybody, but you sent me a video about a recipe you've put together for healing the gut. And I'm super excited
Yes,
to incorporate
yes.
that in our lives.
And anybody that's been on antibiotics for extensive periods of time, you know, you're going to have an imbalance of your microbial communities. And also keep in mind that when you talk about the microbiome, it's not just in the gut, in the stomach, in the GI tract. You've got microbial communities on the skin. You have them in the lungs. You have them, you know, through the sinuses. We are a symbiotic organism, and our health really depends on the health of our little microbial communities.
Yes.
And so we have to learn how to work in harmony with these cultures.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And now let's get the juicy part. When we talk about these because people are going, wait a second, let's talk about this whole the phytocannabinoids, because it's huge selling point when everyone's trying to get you on a CBD, or if you're from states where they're doing, you know, recreational marijuana.
Right. Well, there's good and bad to that, always.
Yeah.
You know, I'm I'm pro, and I'm also, you know, I'm for it. And then at the same time, I think that there's a level of respect that you have to have for this, because you're talking about an ancient signaling system in the body that's one of the first things to come online when we're even forming. The ECS actually helps to create our neural networks. You know, this is a very deep connected system to, I liken it to like the motherboard of a computer. It is the running hardware and software of the body. And so you can hack into this thing. Like, you can get into the mainframe, and you want to be careful that you don't damage the way it should be expressing at its best. And so by overdoing, one of the things that we're finding with, you know, chronic cannabis use, and especially we talk about very high levels of THC.
Yeah.
This is such an intelligent system, and it seems to have an awareness of protecting the organism. So it's, and I'm kind of talking a little bit fast and loose with this. I don't mean to, you know, upset some, you know, researchers or doctors, but I really view it as a very intelligent system. And what happens is, when you have chronic cannabis use with what they're saying THC, and I mean very high, you know, hybridized levels of THC, the ECS says, whoa, wait a minute. This is my motherboard. This is important, and I'm being inundated with this stuff, and it's not in my highest interest. So I'm going to downregulate some of these CB receptors. I'm going to switch them off. I'm going to pop some off the cell, because that's just too much for me. And so what people are finding now is that they have to create stronger and stronger and stronger THC. People really believe, oh, it's the, you know, 80 proof or 80%, or it's the body saying enough is enough. I need to tone this back some, because it's not in our highest good. So what we have to understand is, it's not truly the cannabis that's the magic bullet. It is the body system that is the magic bullet. And ideally, we want our body manufacturing these endocannabinoids, and we want them manufacturing them at levels that support our health and not hinder our health. So when you talk about the phytocannabinoids, the best way to look at it is, you have a cannabis plant, and in my opinion, the best way to have it is raw, because the body knows what to do with it. And you start out with a cannabinoid called CBGA. Okay. And that is the godparent of all cannabinoids from what we understand today. That's it. It's CBGA, and over time, through oxidative stress in the plant, oxidation through sunlight, through heat, through time, it breaks down, and you get CBDA, THCA, and CBCA. And from that, you get all your other cannabinoids. So thinking about the fact that it's the godparent is CBGA in that plant, your body can also take the raw without getting high if you know, you don't need to go that route, and it can break it down in the body and utilize different compounds that the plant has, because it has like 480 different components to the plant that are that have the ability to do some fantastic things in the body. So one of the exciting things that we know now is that there are a lot of other plants in nature that have cannabinoids. One of them is helichrysum. So helichrysum, and it's a specific strain that they've tested so far that comes out of South Africa, and that is known to have very high levels of CBGA. So again, when you look at that, then you know that that's going to also break into these other different cannabinoids.
Okay, so because that's being sold everywhere now. When you're looking at them being, people buying them and having no effect from them, what are the problems that you're seeing with this CBD oil and on the market, a lot of it that's being marketed?
I'm not sure of your question. You're talking about when people are buying them and you're seeing no effect. Can you explain
Yeah,
when you say?
like someone buys a CBD oil and they don't have much of effect from it.
Okay. Well, there is a possibility that their endocannabinoid system is so damaged that that their network of communication is not at a level that it needs to be. The other thing is that they could have a very damaged, permeable, leaky gut. So it takes so much effort to get into this system. I shouldn't word it that way. It relies on a number of different components to signal at its optimal. Now, the
Okay.
other option is that you've bought a really crappy oil, you know, and don't even get me started about extrapolation methods and toxicity. Um, people, everybody's in this industry now to cash in, and that is sad in a way because this is a very valuable, very precious body system. And we need to have a very high level of respect for it. It is just, I can't put into words how profound this body system is and how much I learn so much about it. Science is learning so much about it each year. We understand that there's more involvement in the body and within mental health and physical health and you know, the body energetics, and there's a host of things that this body system has. And if you can hack into the mainframe of this body system, you want to be very careful what you're introducing. And
Okay.
so cannabis and hemp seeds as well. Cannabis is a mop-up crop. So it has the ability to cleanse soils, to detox soils and extrapolate different toxins from the soils, heavy metals, a host of different things. So if the person manufacturing your oil has not taken that into consideration, you could be dumping very high levels of toxins into this system.
Yeah, that's so. As far as essential oils working in balance with this system, what have you seen?
Well, we know that part of the mechanisms that help cannabis signal so effectively are terpenes. And
Okay.
so there are very high levels of terpenes in a multitude of essential oils. And what we found was that by working with different cannabinoids, you could tailor some of the signaling by adding in different terpenes that also perform in a different way. The ECS is influenced by so many different factors. Foods can influence it. You know, the way that the body digests things, the way that the body processes, the way that lipids work within the structure, and the way we uptake different things. It's just a massive highway of communication.
Oh, it's so exciting that to learn more and about it and how we can work on balancing it and how it works with our nerve system and then our microgut
Absolutely.
system.
Yeah.
Um,
So essential oils, I feel, really help support more effective signaling, but there's also a lot of research out there that can substantiate this. And essential oils, and especially terpenes and some of the constituents in these essential oils, work as transport agents to help carry cannabinoids deeper into the cell. They make them work more efficiently and effectively. And you can utilize that, that relationship as like a really powerful little football team, helping to get the quarterback across the line easier.
oh, awesome. There's so much great stuff in your book that really explains it. Um, and then what do you think of the beta carolopatine in like copaiba? How does that interact with our CB1 or CB2 receptors?
Great, great question. So we say that cannabinoids work because of the endocannabinoid system, and classically we've always known about CB1 and CB2, but there are a host of other receptors that are part of the larger integrated ECS. And so what we're finding is that CBD really doesn't activate CB1 or CB2. Its effects are negligible. on those classical cannabinoid receptors, and they target a host of other receptors that are part of this, again, larger ECS. So they can, it's so complex when you're trying to keep it very simple. The difference between CBD is that, for one, it's not a direct activator or an agonist, is what we call, of the CB1 or CB2 receptors. However, copaiba directly activates the CB2 receptor. And we know that the CB2 receptor is massively expressed through the immune system, immune cells and organs of the body, and then, of course, some neurons and in some areas of the brain. So CBD targets some of the other receptors that are part of that larger system. And what CBD does, additionally, it can tell the body to create more endocannabinoids, like anandamide. It also kind of acts as a reverse signaler of certain things. So let's say you have an endocannabinoid in your body that's wreaking a bit of havoc because the signaling's a little damaged. So CBD will go in and go, whoa, hey, you're out of control. This is not a good way to behave. And I like to use the analogy, let's say we're cleaning a sink.
Okay.
And we're scrubbing the sink, and we have an abrasive big piece of steel wool. And you got a little kid in there. I'm trying to help you, Mom. I'm trying to help. I'm going to clean the sink for you. And Mom steps in and goes, no, whoa, wait a minute. You're going to damage the sink. You're scratching it. I know you're trying to do good, but this is actually working against us. Let me take that away, and I'm going to give you this nice soft. We're going to do something completely opposite. And this will clean, but it cleans in a non-aggressive way. So that's kind of the analogy of CBD. When the body system is malfunctioning, phytocannabinoids can step in and urge them back into balance. Some of them, like CBD, will do the complete opposite of what an activator of a receptor would do. Like, full steam ahead. CBD would say, whoa, pull back, let's relax here. So that's something that you see in the actions of CBD. Whereas copaiba, also phenomenal product. It's both a terpene and a cannabinoid, and it has profound signaling within the immune system. It also helps when you get that overactive or overexpression of CB1 receptors, which are implicated in many disease states. It can go in and say, well, let's pull back. It's able to communicate. We have receptor-receptor communication. And so it can actually work together to help tone back CB1 signaling or overexpression of CB1. I cannot express strongly enough how intelligent the system is. Some people will scream at me for saying that, but it's an intelligent network.
Yeah, I agree. Once you start really doing the data and the research, before I had your book, I did some research, but I really think that you did a very good job with your book. I'm looking forward to your next book, and that you have I kind of need, if you hear a dog in the background, she needs some lavender. But you also have a course where people who really want to dive into this can dive into this.
Well, yeah, I did do that because when I created the booklet, and because there are other alternatives to cannabis, not everybody can get cannabis, not everyone wants cannabis, but everybody wants the benefits of cannabinoid therapy. So what I did was I looked at ways to get this into consumers' hands and give them the education, firstly, what's out there, how this works, and then alternatives to getting cannabinoid-like therapies. And with copaiba, I mean, obviously that is a cannabinoid. So you're getting a phytocannabinoid that's non-intoxicating, non-hallucinogenic. So when I did the book, I wanted people to then be able to bring that into, if they had an essential oil business, that they can actually utilize some of the incredible signaling that's seen and the constituents in in high quality essential oils, that they work with this body system. However, as we mentioned before, not everybody expresses this body system the same. We all do not metabolize the same. We all metabolize differently. We all have different body system needs. And so when writing this, I put a basic kit together so that people could actually follow some instructions and then learn this information and then how to present and teach others. But the important thing here was that it's really hard to put together something generically, because this is not a generic body system. The way that it functions, the way that it signals is not generic. We all express this differently. And so what's right for some might not be right for someone else. So my concept was to train trainers. So once you understand this body system and once you understand how to support it, then while you're teaching people, you can look at, actually, let me go back a little bit. Firstly, I'll explain the book and the companion tear pads. So you have the book, which you've read, and it's a very good overview. There's a lot of science, and I've broken it down as much as I could for people that have no scientific background, with some good pictures, and you don't have to know certain terms, because I'll explain them as you go. So then it has two different tear pads. One set of tear pads is just the topics from the book, you know, the highlights or the concepts. So the other tear pad is a 3-step process to detox, support, and activate the ECS using alternatives to to cannabis and things like essential oils. And I went with the company doTERRA because they have third-party testing. I've used their products myself. You know what's in them. They tell you all the different terpenes and different constituents that are in there. And I was very impressed by the level of therapeutic delivery and bioavailability using these oils. So I felt very safe and confident using them. And I always do something myself before I would recommend it to anyone. And I experienced a lot of really, you know, big benefits. So what I did was I put together, based on the science. So this is not my opinion. This is evidence-based. So I looked at all of the scientific literature and put together a protocol based on that science and with existing products that doTERRA had. So some of it's not all doTERRA, like hemp seeds. Those are very important when starting out, and that's in there as well. So you've got the one tear pad that you would hand out if you were to have a group presentation at your home, or if you want to educate people, if you're lecturing, you tear off one of those sheets and you hand them to people that are in, you know, sitting around a room or a table, and they have the highlights of what's in this book. They have to invest in the book. They have that at their disposal. The second is just the 3-step process, and it explains the whole way. It's all cited, so it has all the scientific references that were used to put this together. And it's used as a training kit for people that want to then work with others that are looking to get similar benefits, you know, to what people are getting with cannabinoid therapies. It also comes with, if you get the whole set, I've created a PowerPoint presentation that you use, and all you have to do is read it. It's just so good. You just read it with great pictures and great explanations and descriptions, and then you can teach people that way. So it's a whole system to explore the ECS with people that have never had access to that and don't have the ability to fully get different cannabinoids that they may want.
That is so awesome. I mean, yeah, I really
the biggest thing is, I'm so sorry, what was that?
No, I said I just appreciate all your hard work. I know it was a lot of work. I saw your references. It's a lot of work you put into it.
years and years. And I wanted to make sure that I referenced many articles and many, many studies, many journals. I looked for discrepancies. I looked for things that were working. I looked at things that were not working. I cross-referenced. I went back and forth, and I looked for the areas where people were truly seeing something profound happening. And so that was part of it. And again, the most important thing when I was creating this was consumers, because the other training is very in-depth and very comprehensive for medical practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
But with this three-step process, it's important that everybody understands that some people won't go through it the same way. Can I hold you for 1 minute? I've got a dog now crying at my door. I just need to move.
That's what I had happen. So we both had the same thing with little my dog was having an anxiety attack. My rescue. So
this is Baxter. He's a rescue, and I had him outside.
That's fine. Mine's a rescue, and she's having a panic attack. Look, there's yours.
Baxter. Here's Baxter. So yeah, buddy. Too funny, huh?
I know.
Yeah. So that's the big thing, was to train trainers, because the trainers need to guide people through this, because the endocannabinoid system displays differently in everyone. Everybody taking oils, it may work very gently and easily for some. The detox may be brutal. Releasing of heavy metals, healing of the gut can sometimes be not so pleasant. And so I thought, I can't reach all these people. I can't get to everyone, but I can train trainers to deal with these sorts of things and really help and guide people to do the absolute best when targeting the ECS.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. One that, and we're almost done, because I know my dog's a little freaking out. I wanted to bring up, because a little hot topic that I've heard just a little bit here of, that you, in the studying about THC in particular and cancer. So
yeah. Well, I know there's some information out there. I'd have to dig up some of the studies, but there is an understanding, or there is a belief right now that when you're dealing with estrogen dominant cancers, they are a completely different animal. And what we've seen is that in many cases, women that had very high estrogen dominant cancers and taking high THCs, it was driving the metastases. It was driving the cancer. Their cancer levels were getting higher. They were not responding in a way that you would typically expect certain things, to see certain things. What people found, what researchers found, what clinics have found, is that by having the majority a CBD, so a 3-to-1 CBD to THC, or even a 4-to-1 CBD to THC, then we started seeing cancer markers come down. We started seeing healing happening. And of course, I hate even talking like this, because you can get yourself into some trouble sometimes, but there is evidence out there to support that it's CBD that is more beneficial in these situations when you're looking at estrogen dominant cancers. The other thing, I've seen information as well about lung metastases, and very high levels of THC also driving that to be exacerbated as well. But I'd have to dig up the studies again and send those over to you and let you have a look at that. But there's a lot of evidence now that's supporting that different cannabinoids behave differently in different cell types, in different disease states.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And I just say that because there's so much talk on that.
Yeah, it's important.
Good and bad when it comes to.
Definitely. And see, ideally what we want is our own body manufacturing these compounds. They know what to do, but when they're out of balance, when they're misfiring or they're mal signaling, then we step in to get phytocannabinoids to help recalibrate or rebalance. It can help urge the system back into a more balanced state,
Yeah.
working again, you know, to strive to get that homeostatic balance. And that's also, you know, we're seeing with terpenes and different, you know, other compounds to these plants and essential oils. So
Yeah.
it's a very holistic approach. And I think obviously every time your number one starting point is the gut. You're not going to get this system signaling on all cylinders if it doesn't have the feedback from your tiny microbial community. It is a balanced wheel, and it's a cyclic, it's a cycle of communication, and each part of that wheel or every spoke on that wheel plays a role.
Yeah, I agree. As somebody really is addressing their health and things that are going on, they have to start with healing their gut. And
Yep.
sometimes I always say on this channel that they should be working with a functional medicine practitioner. The downside to seeing a medical doctor, they won't understand anything natural, and a lot of them haven't been educated at all about the endocannabinoid system.
And that's what's so exciting. And that's what I'm even working on right now, is to bring books out because, you know, doctors are busy and they're challenged, and they were trained classically in a specific way. And, you know, we're sicker than ever now. And this is a time where medicine needs to change. And the best doctors in the world are going to be preventative doctors, in my opinion.
Yep.
And we, you know, this is my body, and I'd love to have the owner's manual for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And so the endocannabinoid system and the information that I'm really working to bring out is to give you an owner's manual to understand that this is a system that targets regulating all of the other body systems for balance. And if you can tap into that and you can understand some basic principles, some rules to support and nourish that system, then you'd be crazy not to. And it's symptomatic. The system is symptomatic. So if you watch certain symptoms playing out, you know that by addressing that holistically, you can start to mitigate some of that unbalanced signaling.
I know, that's so awesome. And it's so awesome that I have another podcast where I'm talking about healthy fat and challenging people, you know, for 30 days to eliminate a food that has not been the healthiest for your diet, such as sugar, gluten, grains, something that, you know,
Mm.
that has been, because those are, we know, are toxins, you know, and when we're healing your gut, you can't think that you're just going to be taking some kind of supplement and heal your gut without
No.
addressing your diet.
No, it's
So
food. And the other thing that people don't quite understand is our microbial communities change all day long depending on what we feed them.
mhm.
And so we can drive the expression of certain microbes that will work for us, or we can drive the expression of microbes that will work against us. And unhealthy fats can damage the endocannabinoid system. Unhealthy fats can help to trigger cancer signaling in the body. Sugar can help to signal help to signal cancer signaling in the body. Foods are so important, and we're going back like we were 100 years ago when we knew foods were important, and that ran away from us. And we have to bring that back. We are a symbiotic organism. We are breathing and feeding ourselves and our microbial communities. And, you know, the planet has never been more toxic. So we have to look at how do we support slowly releasing some of those toxins so that our bodies can breathe in and, you know, have a chance to heal for a moment. We have to learn to listen. It is communication at its very, very best.
I agree. I think it's such a good conversation. I think that I probably have you back on just to, well, in the show notes we'll have her link to recipes for her the gut health shake, because we're going to be trying it here. I've never actually gotten a lot of hemp hemp seeds in my diet as much before.
You have to do that. It is so incredibly important, especially if you're sick. It'll help feed your microbial communities. It's full chain amino acids. All proteins are made from aminos. Our endocannabinoid receptors are made from different amino acid chains that form proteins, that form receptors, that form enzymes, that form, it is the building blocks to our body. And our body's hardwired for these seeds. So they're great. They have minerals, they have manganese and magnesium and potassium and a host of different things. And they'll help you lose weight, which is phenomenal. They'll help. They just do so much good. They're really healthy fats. You need them.
But you got to buy them organic, like you said.
Absolutely, because otherwise you're introducing a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
It's scary. Yeah. It's scary. Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you now as a friend. I am going to look to do your training after I finish my other training. And then when your other book is out, we will definitely have you back on the podcast and we'll talk more about it. It's so exciting. I mean, it's wonderful to have people like you that spend the time in the evidence-based research and have the passion for helping others better their health naturally and feel empowered that they can do stuff at home,
Absolutely.
and start with.
And when you're sick, because I've been there, I've had cancer, and it was very bleak looking. If anybody could throw you a line and say it's going to be okay, I just to let people know that it's not over till it's over, and preventative is the most important thing. If we know that we can prevent illness and disease by supporting this system, I want to empower everyone. Yep. I just think it's so important for us to empower each other so that we can feel our best. And when you feel good, and when you feel like you've done something that made you feel, like you're on top of the world, and you share that with somebody, they're going to go share it with somebody, and they're going to share it with someone else. And the planet's going to be a prettier place to be,
Absolutely. I mean, and you're going to be you're mentally, physically, and emotionally. It took a transition of many months for me to go gluten-free. And now that I've been gluten-free for some time, I feel that I do feel a lot of difference. And I actually feel a lot of it mental clarity different too. And I've been, sugar's been an enemy of mine for a long time. And so have aspartame, and I'm very sensitive to certain toxins. So, and managing
we all are. We all are. We just don't know it.
Yeah. But managing my health now naturally and having these options at home, I feel so empowered. It's funny because I still work in healthcare. I still work in hospitals, where I was talking to a physician and I was telling her I'm having a lot of aches and dealing with some more aches than normal, and because I accidentally had something come in my diet, not gluten, but I got some aspartame in my diet, and I was contributing it to that because I know my body. And she's like, why don't you just pop a Tylenol? I said, because one, Tylenol don't work, and two, I don't want that toxin. And she just looked at me, and I'm like,
but they're classically trained.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about science is science, eventually we disprove things. And you're always learning, and you're always growing in science. And if you're a good scientist, then you're prepared to debunk your own information at some point, because we want to learn more. We thought the world was flat at one point, and everybody would have fought for that, and now we're learning that there's an intelligent system in this body that can be nourished and fed in a certain way to keep us well and to get us thriving. And, a lot of pharmaceuticals have side effects. In many cases, we need allopathic medicine, and we need doctors' treatment and care. And once you're already in a unwell state, then sometimes you have to go that route. But the trick is, or the goal is, to prevent. It's a lot easier to prevent disease than to cure it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on the channel and expressing everything, especially we are way two different time zones. You're
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
other side of the world, literally, for me.
You're probably exhausted. So if you want sometime, we could go on and work a little bit with the protocols, the 3-step process, and go over that, show you what the tear pads look like. And then I'd love for you to be a trainer of this information. I'd love you to go out and share this with people because it's empowering.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to doing it. Get me through this advanced aromatherapy certification program, and then that will be my next thing. And I will have you back on the podcast, and we'll talk protocols. And maybe by then I might have some questions. So if people have questions for us, they can reach out to my email, and then I can direct them to Elise. I can also direct them to you. Do you have a website?
I have a website. It's ecstraining.org.
Okay.
I'm also, the company's also on Facebook and has a big Facebook page. We do a lot of essential oil information there as well. And then we have a private group so that you can be more compliant and talk more freely in that area with different little units to learn other information about the ECS and different opportunities that it offers for mental, emotional, physical health, that sort of thing. And
No,
just being very mindful that, you know, you can say certain things and you cannot say certain things. So
absolutely, absolutely. And I think we did a really good job of staying within those boundaries.
bobbing and weaving, bob and weave and bob. I'm very careful because I open my mouth and sometimes I say things, and I try to say them in a very easy to understand way. So if you look at that same word scientifically, it's a little bit different, but I'm trying to get very complex concepts into the hands of lay people.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's great information for people to know. I mean, because there are these CBD shops popping up everywhere, and
They need this book in there.
yeah, I know. We definitely gonna need to stock your book in there, or hand out your business cards, or we'll just share this. Please share this podcast. Please share this video, because there are more people that just need to be educated, and educate yourself. Go deep into the research.
Yeah,
And
all of the references, you can go and look up these references. They're there. I mean, it's very dry reading, a lot of the scientific journals. So that's what yeah, there's a lot in there. But they're brilliant people. These people, I am so grateful to these scientists for the work that they've done. It is groundbreaking. It is just, it's astronomical what they're bringing us now. And I could not be more grateful to these extraordinary men and women that are out there doing this work. They are they're my rock stars, man.
Yeah, I love,
Awesome.
I'm thankful for all those completely left-brained scientific genius. That's my dogs in the background telling me that I have to get off. So I'm just going to end it. And thank you so much. And you and I will definitely be in touch. I've made a new friend across the world. So if I go to Sydney or go to Australia, I have a friend to hang out with.
Come on. You're welcome. Take care. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.